Hello and welcome. This is Matthias 76, and together we are decoding the deception. We're continuing in our study in Matthew, and I just want to remind you that we have, and you can go out here on our website, right here, Bible videos. We've got a series on Revelation. We've got 42 videos in that series thus far. We've got the entire book of Daniel. We're here in Matthew. We've done 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. We've done the entire book of Exodus and the entire book of Joshua. So we've got these things out here as resources for you. So if you find this study a blessing, then you can go here to Matthew and you can go back and start at the very beginning. I know a lot of people come across these videos, they're jumping in partway through. You can use this as part of your devotional life, and you can go out here, and all of our teachings on the book of Matthew are out here on the website. You just click on the image on the thumbnail, and it's going to take you right there to the video. So you can start at the beginning and work your way through. So as I said, we're in the book of Matthew. We're in chapter 24. So there are 28 chapters. We're getting toward the end. And we're at a very crucial point in Matthew. Jesus has completed his interaction with the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes and the rest of those who oppose him. Now, in Holy Week, we have the triumphal entry into Jerusalem in Matthew 19. That's Palm Sunday. And then we have Monday and Tuesday, him interacting with the Jews. So with this, the section that was in the last video, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem," where he tells them their house is left to them desolate. Now, and that's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. So now late in the day on Tuesday, he's done with the scribes and Pharisees. His public teaching, meaning teaching out to everybody else, is over. That chapter, literally with chapter 23, but that chapter of his ministry, that section, that part of his ministry is done. Now, the rest of the teaching that he does is just with his disciples, okay? This is Tuesday. And then Wednesday, there's nothing. And then we go to Maundy, Thursday, the Lord's Supper, and Good Friday when he was crucified, etc. But I just wanted to plug it into that timeline, the series of events, what's going on, so that we keep things in the proper context. So he has just finished in sadness and in judgment, saying, "See, your house is left to you desolate." That's where we're picking up. He just done that, and he turns around, and we're going to pick up with what comes next. And remember, chapter breaks, Matthew didn't do that. I can talk about why and how they did things. Matthew put no chapter breaks. He didn't put the chapters and verses in there. That came much later. So always be careful. We see a chapter break and we think, oh, something completely different. No, this continues. It is what follows directly after what preceded. There's no break in time here. Jesus left the temple. He's turned around, he's left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. But he answered them, "You see all these, do you not? Truly, I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." Question: how much of your world would have to go away? Meaning your world, your place in the world, your perception of things, what you consider to be normal. What's normal for you? It's normal. I'll just give some examples. For us, it's normal that we've got money in the bank, at least a little bit. It's normal that we can go out into the garage and get into a fairly nice vehicle and drive around freely. It's normal that we can go up the road, up the street, to the corner store, the grocery store, the Walmart, the Target, whatever else, and buy the things that we need in our lives. We've got a job. We've got the people in our lives. We've got the system of governance with which we are familiar, that to which we are accustomed. We've got schools for our kids. We've got all these different things. That is our world. That's our world. What Jesus just told the scribes and the Pharisees, and the disciples were all there, he told them it's all changed. It's all done. And it was going to literally be done. We'll get to that, in the fact that that temple was going to be destroyed. And he talks about it here. For them, the point I'm trying to make, for the disciples, for the scribes and the Pharisees, they just discounted what Jesus said, probably. But for the disciples, he just told them, everything you know and accept and consider to be normal is going to be gone. They could not imagine a world in which that temple was not there, that big. And I've got an image going to pop up here on the screen. That when it said that he was leaving, when he turned around and he was walking away, and the disciples started talking to him, he was walking out here. This is the court. That's the holy place. That's where the altar and all that stuff was. They were walking away out here, going through here. And Jesus told them, all of this is going to be gone. None of it is going to be here. He said in verse 38, see, your house is left to you desolate. The one whose abode it is gone. He's not going to be here anymore. I am not going to be here anymore. I go through all of that because for you, it would have to be, some of the things that with events we see in the world, how nutty are things going to get? What's going to be taken away? What's going to happen? He's telling them everything was going to change. Everything was going to be gone. And what's their reaction? Let's go through it verse by verse. Jesus left the temple and was going away when his disciples came to point out to him the buildings of the temple. All of this, get it over here, it's a little bit smaller, but it's here. All of this stuff, they were pointing all of this out to him. Now, what does that mean? Don't just read the text and not spend some time asking important questions. Who, what, where, when, why? What was going on here? Why were they pointing out? What, he couldn't see him? Look at that. Look at that wall. Look at this. And it was a spectacular complex. Herod the Great had began to build it 46 years before. There were gold tiles. It was just amazing. And they're pointing out to him the buildings of the temple. What do you think that was about? What were they doing? What were they thinking? What were they saying as they were pointing out to him the buildings of the temple? I think what we're seeing here is they're saying, look at how awesome all of this is. This is the center of everything. Look at over here. You've got the Solomon's colonnade that would have been over here with this portico with the pillars, and you've got the court of women and the court of Gentiles. It's just an amazing. They're trying to get their minds around, as the disciples always were. They're trying to get their mind around what it was he was saying. He just told them, game changer, all gone. Everything's going to be different. And they were trying to take in what that meant. So they were pointing out different parts of the building and trying to engage in conversation with him to get more understanding. And he's always so patient, but he was very direct here. You see all these things, do you not? You say you're pointing all this stuff out to me. Whoa, look at that. Whoa, yeah. It's amazing. You see all this, right? Truly, I say to you, and that's where in the King James it would say, verily, 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 verily. This is truth right here. You want truth? Truly, I say to you, there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. That was prophecy, for sure. It was judgment. I've mentioned before, the Roman general Titus came in 68 AD and began to lay siege to Jerusalem. It took almost 2 years. When he was done, everyone there was dead. Everyone. Anybody who survived the siege, he killed. And that temple, there was nothing left. When the Romans wanted to make a point, the Romans made a point. And won't go into the reasons for why they did what they did. They were fed up with the Jews and their rebellion. But not a stone was left on another. And today, when there are so many other things in the news, but when you see something about Jews at the Wailing Wall, that would have been one of the walls, and I'm not sure which direction, the Western Wall, that was just a support wall, like a retaining wall for this big foundation of the temple. That's all that's left. They left nothing there. They destroyed it all. Jesus will talk about that more as we go down through, as he talks about what is going to come. It's not a surprise that the disciples had a hard time getting their minds around that. It probably took them years to really get their minds around it. And those who lived long enough, when what happened in 70 AD took place, they probably really understood then. What we need to think about is, what if our world as we know it changes entirely? What if we have a Monty Python? Back in Monty Python, they used to say, and now for something completely different. What if everything that we know as safe, secure, stable, all of that, boom, gone? What if it's taken away? What if our things are taken away from us? What if our ability to work because of our faith, because of the stands that we take, the positions that we take and hold to because of our faith? What if that's all gone? What if, because we won't go along with the agenda of moral decay and depravity, they ostracize us and put us out and say, you don't get to participate. And there's a reason they push toward electronic currency, electronic banking, that they want a cashless society. They talk about it as convenience and all of that. As I'm recording this, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau up there in Canada, he's taking truckers' money away. He's taking away the money of the people who supported them, and it's peaceful protest. He's taking their driver's licenses away. He's going to seize their property and take it away, and the whole world standing by and not saying a thing. There
you
will
can't
be
leave if you're not vaccinated.
Yeah, there will be. They will brook no resistance. None. Whatever point that comes to fruition for us, to whatever degree, one thing I know is that it is going to happen. What are you ready to do? What are you ready to give up? What matters to you? It is a good spiritual exercise. Look around your world and think about what matters. What matters and what doesn't. What matters and what doesn't. If they can take it away, does it matter? Think of the change that happened for the believers, those who were faithful, for the believers as a result of the persecution that came. All of these disciples were going to get chased out of Jerusalem long before that because of the persecution that came upon them. I need to spiritually prepare myself constantly that I am ready for whatever comes. I don't know what's going to come. I can speculate. I can guesstimate. I can kind of look ahead and foresee, but I don't really know. I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay that I'm his and he is mine, and that's all that matters. Let him take everything. Let him take everything. The thing they can't take, the thing they can't touch is my faith in him. They can't undo it. They can't undo it. He won't let go of me. I need to be spiritually in the place that I won't let go of him. And parents, to whatever degree all of us have the ability to influence others, we need to help others, encourage others to be prepared in the same way. It is what drives me. I do this first and foremost. What I do here in this ministry that is decoding the deception, I do it for my family. I do it for my kids. I do it for my grandkids. I do it for everyone who will come. That's why I do this. And then everybody else, right? But first and foremost, it's my family. Take care of your family. Help them to know what matters and what doesn't. Teach them. Show them by example what matters and what doesn't. We need to be prepared because all the buildings, all the stuff, that thing could be gone, blew their minds, and they're not done yet. We'll continue on. As he said on the Mount of Olives, so I couldn't find a graphic for this or I would have pulled it up, but everything was hills here. So as they left Jerusalem and went out, they'd go down in a valley and up the other side. The other side was the Mount of Olives. So it's like you're looking over on this complex from across a valley, and the sun hitting it late in the day had to absolutely be gorgeous. But that's the setting for what takes place here. As he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, it's just them, saying, "Tell us when these things will be, and what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" Let's just talk about that specifically. It is the question of all questions. The question of all questions. It's what Daniel, at the end of his life, at the end of his ministry, it's what he wanted to know. It's what the angels who were there with Jesus speaking to Daniel, the pre-incarnate Christ, had come and was speaking to Daniel, telling him all kinds of things. And someone said to the man clothed in linen, that's Jesus, who was above the waters of the stream, "How long shall it be till the end of these wonders?" Everyone wants to know. And then Daniel wanted to know. "I heard, but I did not understand. Then I said, oh, my Lord, what shall be the outcome of these things?" We want to know. We yearn. We desire to know, when is this going to happen? How is it going to play out? And we can go to the saints under the altar when the fifth seal is opened up there in Revelation 6. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar up there in heaven, the souls of those who had been slain for the word of God and the witness they had borne. How much are you willing to give? They cried out with a loud voice, "O sovereign Lord, holy and true, how long before you will judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell in the earth?" How long? How long? When is all this going to play out? When are you coming back? And even though the disciples at this time had a fairly confused understanding of what his final coming meant, they didn't even understand yet that he was going to die and ascend up into heaven and all of that. But they did want to know, they understood there's an end to all of this. When judgment comes, when the last day comes, when is that going to be? We all want to know, and nobody knows. Nobody knows. We're not told for a whole lot of really good reasons. We're not told. Jesus says even he doesn't know. Only the Father in heaven knows. So we shouldn't spend time trying to look for the things that'll tell us when this is going to be. There's a whole lot of misguided teaching and inquiry into that. And we can't know. There's no way we can know. Jesus says he doesn't know, only the Father in heaven. And apparently he's not telling anybody until that moment when he looks to his son and says, go harvest the earth, put in your sickle, bring them all in. But it is natural to want to know. We have that desire. There's so much riding on it. But here's the big point. It's such a big point. It was foundational in why I named this ministry, this channel, what it's called. It comes directly from here. And Jesus answered them. They want to know when. And Jesus answered them. The first thing that comes out of his mouth, see that no one leads you astray. Don't be deceived. Sometimes it's stated that way, and it's a legitimate translation. Don't be deceived. Let no one lead you astray. What does that tell us? You ask these big questions about the end of all things in this very intense setting where they've just seen Jesus blowing the Pharisees and Sadducees away in debate, and then pronouncing 7 woes on them, and then telling them, your house is left to you desolate. You won't see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, which is saying at the very last day. And then the disciples have questions about the buildings, and then they come and ask him about when will all this be? And the first thing he says, don't be deceived. See that no one leads you astray. That's his number one concern. See that no one leads you astray. There is the forces of evil. I often refer to them as the lords of darkness. They are at work, and they've been at work for a very long time. I've got a video I recommend you go watch. I'll pop the link in the description down below, but this is the thumbnail for that video. It's 18-dimensional chess, a labyrinth of deception born of the cosmological warfare, millennia in the making. I think it's the longest title of a video that I've ever made, but it says a lot. The lords of darkness who have been here for a long time, the fallen ones, the fallen angels who work and do Satan's bidding, they're really smart, and they've been doing this a long time. They know how to manipulate. They know how to deceive. They know how to get people to follow them. They know how to get people to follow them and work to deceive others. And they've been doing it a really long time. If you go to play chess and you're playing against someone who has been playing, first of all, they're really smart. They're way smarter than you. And they've been doing it for thousands of years. They've beaten the best of the best. That's a daunting task. It's a daunting task. And we need to understand that is the kind of challenge that we face. And I use the 18-dimensional idea because, there's 3-dimensional chess. It was actually something that was cooked up with Star Trek. Spock would play 3-dimensional chess, right? It's very complex. And there are 6-dimensional chess that people play to practice, I guess, when I was looking into this. But 18-dimensional chess, there's no way I can keep track of all that. I can think of all the different fronts upon which the lords of darkness are operating, and in which their minions, and when I say minions, I mean the people of this world who do their bidding, the Jesuits, the Masons, the Council on Foreign Relations, Skull and Bones, on and on and on and on and on. They're operating on so many different fronts, so many different levels, And it's all spiritual. That's where many people, in looking into the conspiracy going on all around us, if you don't see that as being spiritual, then you're really missing it. You're really missing it. And I came up with this analogy the other day. It just occurred to me. I do a lot of reading and watching things on history. I always have, especially military history. It fascinates me. If you don't understand that the multiple fronts of attack that are coming against humanity right now, if you do not recognize and discern that this is a spiritual thing, it would be like the Germans in 1944 in June on the beaches of Normandy, looking out at the ocean early in the morning when they saw all those ships. And the movie D-Day, or The Longest Day, rather, does a great job of showing how blown away they were when, as far as they could see, there were warships coming at them. It would be like them looking out on all those ships and thinking, oh, how interesting. It must be an early morning boating regatta. People are out for a pleasure cruise. That they would underestimate entirely the threat that's coming against them. Those aren't yachts. They're battleships and cruisers and landing craft, and they're coming to kill you. And they don't want your money. They don't want your power. They want your soul. That's what they are after. And so we see all the time these forces of darkness that are arrayed against us. Well, lo and behold, guess what? They're into the same perversion, molesting children, sacrificing children, all the sick, evil, awful stuff that's been going on in all the false religions throughout history. What a shock. It is a spiritual attack, and it comes on many, many, many different levels and fronts. And so we need to be awake. We need to be decoding the deception that comes at us. And the only way to properly decode it is to see it for the spiritual, eternal life and death struggle that it is. That is why Paul says in Ephesians 6:12, oh, got 5. There it is. Shameful to mention what the unbelievers do in private. That it definitely is, and that we could make that tie in. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers. And in all of these terms, they're spiritual terms. The rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm, in the heavenly places. That's why we take up the full armor of God. And first and foremost in that is the word, being strong in his word, and his mighty power, and the sword of the Spirit, and the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, and feet fitted with the preparation to go spread the gospel, all of that stuff. But I can't save others, and I can't defend others if I'm being led astray, if I'm being duped, if I'm looking out over the ocean and I see a boating regatta instead of a massive invasion. See that no one leads you astray. And with that, no one, you notice he doesn't say the bad guys. Make sure the bad guys don't get in and lead you astray. He doesn't say that. The greatest communicator in the world says, see that no one leads you astray. The greatest deception comes from within. That's where the beast of the earth in Revelation 13 is from. He's within the church, the Antichrist. He's within the church. We can be deceived, led astray, misguided, and left spiritually shipwrecked by those who are within the church as well. So see that no one leads you astray. All right, we're going to have to stop there. We'll pick up next time. There's so much that Jesus says. about the end times, really. And I encourage you to do this. If you're watching this video, you got to be a Bible freak, right? God bless you. You're my kind of people. If you're watching this video, you're a Bible freak. Get everything out of it that you can. The best thing you could do right now after this video is over is read or listen to, read Matthew 24 and Matthew 25. See how it all flows together. And what you're going to see, especially with Matthew 24, it is as though in the book of Revelation, Jesus takes what he said in Matthew 24 and expands on it with 22 chapters. That is what you have. Everything that's in, almost everything that's in the book of Revelation, it's here in Matthew 24. Read through it for yourself and see if that's not what you see. And then 25 with the different parables, familiar parables, the virgins and the lamps and the sheep and the goats being separated. Read through all of it and think about the setting that Jesus is there. It's one of the last times. This Tuesday, he dies on Friday. One of the last times he's talking with his disciples, and he wants to make sure and get across to them this important stuff, all of which he leads into with, see that no one leads you astray. And that's my prayer for you. That's why we are here at Decoding the Deception. That's why I do Bible stuff, and then I'll be talking about vaccines and all that, because it all ties together. It is all spiritual warfare. I want to thank you for listening. And hey, give us a thumbs up. It makes a difference. While you're down there, if you have not yet, subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are made aware when we put out new content. Share this video with somebody else. Shoot it off to somebody. Put it out on your social media feed. Whatever you can do to help us spread the word. And finally, do drop by and pay us a visit at our website. I like to call it a resource center, decodingthedeception.com. If you know our name, you know how to find us. This is Matthias 76, and together we are, by going deep into the Word of God, decoding the deception. God bless and have a great day.